Everybody, Rich with Prep U. It is Saturday, so it's time for a range tip of the week. We're actually going to do two range tips in one because they kind of go hand in hand. It just makes more sense to put these together than to drag it out. And yes, if you saw the update, the last video I put out last Thursday about the update on the federal case of the Illinois rifle and magazine ban. Yes, I am in the same location. Yes, I am wearing the same clothes. I didn't want to change. I just wanted to get it all done at the same time. So, anyhow, the location doesn't change, but the information is. So, what we're going to talk about today in the range tip of the week is if you are instructing, what you must teach, and then top range safety mistakes. These are things that a lot of you that are, instructing your wives, your girlfriends, your boyfriends, significant other, your children, you're taking them to the range, learning for the first time. And these are some of the ideas or the things that I've seen that people just forget about. Okay. The biggest one, I think, for everything is they just want to capture the first moment that the person you're bringing to the range, their reaction on video. Well, that's not a really good idea. You really ought to be watching the whole person, their stance, their demeanor, their nervousness, their hold, all that kind of stuff. But let's go over some of this stuff. So, if you're instructing, what you must teach, these are just a few items. Number one is how to hold the firearm. Okay, we really don't want the thumb crossed behind. We really don't want fingers on the slide that will impede the slide from moving. We definitely don't want fingers in front of the firearm or in front of anywhere near the barrel. Um, and if you are teaching with a revolver, we don't want hands anywhere near the wheel because you can get some blowback out through and around the wheel that will burn your fingers instantly. So, beyond that, how to sight. It is so important how to sight. Along with how to sight, don't have the target 25 yards down the range. Have it up close. Have it around 5 yards or 7 yards or stuff like that, so that people can actually, even if they don't go anywhere near the X, at least they're hitting the target. And for a new shooter, that's huge because most of them don't think they could hit the broadside of a barn. So not only sight, but have that target up close, and then you can move it, out as going. Once they have the hold down, once they know how to sight, pulling the trigger slowly, not just jerking it, jerk, 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 and breathing. Time your breathing with the trigger pull, nice and slow, nice and easy. And if you're going to stop, pull your finger off the trigger. Okay. Setting your firearm down. Remind them that if they're tired, if they're nervous or whatever, set the firearm down on the tray. Nothing's going to happen. Okay. And when they set it down, finger off the trigger. When they pick it back up, don't grab it with the finger on the trigger, and they'll be fine. Just constantly reassuring the new person. Um, Another thing, always point down range. That is huge, because how many people have it in their arm and then they turn around and stuff like that. And it kind of freaks not only the person that's teaching you, it freaks me out too as a range safety officer when I start seeing the barrel of firearm coming around the finger on the trigger. Not really good. So always point down range. Know what's beyond your target. Teach them that just because the bullet hits the target doesn't mean it stops there. It keeps going. And they're responsible for where that bullet goes. We get a lot of lanes shot down, and they go, well, I didn't know it was going to go there. I go, what do you think, it was going to magically stop at the target? No, it's going to continue on. And that's with hunting, it's the same thing. Um, no rapid fire ever. Most indoor ranges are like that. Everyone I've ever been to, no rapid fire ever, period. It's a great way to get the RSO to say, hey, we really appreciate you coming in, but you have to leave now. Now there's outdoor ranges. I know there's one here in Illinois called the Buffalo, and they've got a old pit that you can put all kinds of stuff in and shoot at, and you can rapid fire all you want. That's great. You're outdoors, but not in the range. And the number one thing you can tell people Teach them it is a magazine and not a clip. Unless you are shooting a Grand, which is a clip, that little thing that holds the bullets, teach them it's a magazine. It's not a clip. And you know what? They'll look so much smarter when they talk to other people. Um, and be careful when you're correcting people about when they say a clip. I never correct them. Say, hey, that's a clip. It's not a magazine. And when I talk back to them, I says, oh yeah, you just grab the magazine. How does a clip go in the gun? Well, when you grab the magazine goes like this, and this is the magazine release. So teach them that. They'll be miles ahead. A brand new shooter will be miles ahead of people that have been shooting for years if they call it a magazine and not a clip. All right, top range mistakes, which just kind of runs along with a lot of stuff that we just talked about. All right, crossing your thumb, number one mistake. I go through more bandages, more gauze, more tape from people having their thumbs crossed. I also go through a lot of explanation when their thumb may not be crossed, but their fingers are on the slide and the slide can't operate properly, and they kind of like get stovepipes and double feeds and stuff like that. So, cross thumbs. Don't hold your revolver like it's a semi-automatic. Get that hand back. If you have to hold it around your wrist, do so. You don't want your second hand up around that wheel. We talked about that in the last part. Wearing the wrong clothes or shoes. Okay, the shoes issue, you'll get these really nice fashion booties at our range. They're really nice blue and they go around there. The reason being is you want a tight shirt or jacket. You don't want a halter top. You don't want, sandals. You don't want open toe shoes or anything like that because that brass is hot and you know where that brass is going. And what happens with that is the brass hits the new shooter or anybody and they start dancing around trying to get rid of it, and the firearm's still in their hand and the finger's still on the trigger. Don't do that. Don't surprise the person that you're bringing to the range who thinks they're going to the beach. Now they're going to the range first and they're not wearing the proper clothes. Don't do that. Okay. Not taking your finger off the trigger. Okay. Always take your finger off the trigger whenever you're not going to shoot. If you're resighting, if you're reacquiring a target, take your finger off the trigger and then bring your finger back in. But when you go to shoot, put your finger slowly into the trigger, wait, breathe out, pull the trigger nice and slow. Okay. Don't leave your finger on your trigger when you're like talking to somebody. Hey, how's this going? And you're not pointing down range and you got your finger on your trigger. Like I said, it freaks a lot of people out, especially me. All right, that goes to turning around with your firearm in your hand and most likely your finger on the trigger. That's just something, new people especially do. Guys that have been doing this and gals that have been doing this for a long time, sometimes you forget. Sometimes you get a little complacent, and you get done shooting and you still have the firearm in your hand and your finger on the trigger and you're walking out of your booth. No, don't do that. That's a major mistake. That will really get you in trouble with an RSO. And the one that I harp on all the time, you guys are gonna go, yeah, Rich, we know, we get it. Always watch your new shooter. All right. Always make sure they know what they're doing. Teach them everything that they're supposed to know. I've got great new shooter videos out there. We've talked about a bunch of stuff on this video about what you want to, teach and tell them. You've got to watch your new shooter. Okay. I don't care if you take videos later, but make sure they know what they're supposed to be doing. And that's how you should do it. You shouldn't teach it on negatively. You should teach positively. You know, keep your thumb next to the other thumb. Don't go with don't do this, do that. Be aware of this, and stuff like that. So that's it. That was your top range mistakes that I've seen over the years. And if you are instructing what you should be instructing, the main components, but you can go to the other videos, especially the playlist about teaching a new shooter and range stuff, to get a more thorough understanding of what you should be teaching and what you shouldn't be teaching. And if you're not a good instructor or not a good teacher, never done it before, watch somebody else teach or watch my videos or take a class. But that's it. So that's it for this Saturday's edition of Range Tips of the Week. I hope you have a great outdoor experience this weekend. We're supposed to get rain, but a lot of the country is supposed to be nice and warm. A little bit of a cool down and then coming back. So get to the outdoor ranges. They're much more fun than indoor ranges, even though I like to see outdoor ranges are a lot of fun. But that's it. So, as we always say, always be aware of your surroundings. Always have enough food, water, medicine, and ammunition, whether you have to shelter in place or bug out. And please, prep like your life depends on it, because your life depends on it, your family's life depends on it, and your pets' lives also depend on the fact that you are prepping correctly. If you're wondering about how to prep, go to our videos, our playlist on how to prep for yourself, how to stockpile, and how to prep for your pet. All right, take care. Thanks a lot. See you next week.